The guy from Blink-182, Tom DeLonge, of which I might add, I was a big Blink-182 fan when I was a kid, could play all their songs, is working on tracking UFOs, or UAPs as they're called. See, they used to be called unidentified flying objects, and now they're unidentified aerial phenomena. So apparently he has an organization that tracks these things, and here's the interesting breaking news. The Navy says the UAPs in Tom DeLonge's videos are, well, he says the UFOs are unidentified aerial phenomena. The U.S. Navy has officially acknowledged that UFOs are real and violate American airspace. But I have to wonder, do I trust, what's the saying, should I trust the government? The answer is usually no. And it's not because you don't like the government, it's because we know the government keeps secrets. We know they have to keep secrets. They have confidentiality, they have top secret, they have information that is only for certain people in the interest of national security. Sometimes these are bad things. Oftentimes there are bad things. And then we learn about, through leaks, the bad things they're doing. Some of these things are good. Some of these things are important national security things to help keep us safe. I get it. It's interesting though. But before I start reading the story, I want to point out, it's entirely possible, and I believe they do highlight this. These things that we see on camera that are being apparently highlighted by Tom DeLonge's organization very well may be American military devices, weapons, or vehicles. Right? They mention that there's an experimental research facility, and the Navy may be saying, oh yeah, those violate airspace because they don't want to give away any information as to what it really is. It's entirely possible the people who are speaking about this in the Navy don't even know the programs exist. Now, I don't believe for the most part that aliens are coming to Earth and, coming down and spying on us or watching us or whatever for the most part. And it's just astronomical odds. The simple solution is the U.S. government produces weapons and military grade, whatever, and they don't want to leak secrets about it, so they compartmentalize, and it's very likely just that. But I want to make one quick point about aliens to give you some perspective. If aliens exist, the gap in the evolution of the alien versus us is likely to be astronomical. It may not be. Let's also entertain the possibility that there is a similar a life form that's been around for almost the same amount of time as humans, but have recently, mastered interstellar travel and made their way to Earth to investigate this small, wet planet with little, humanoid creatures. And they've seen, say, our radio waves. Here's a thought experiment to help you understand why I don't think aliens would care to come to Earth. Let me ask you a question. Actually, hold on. Let me start over. Let me just say this. I learned this from some video out on the internet. Humans and ants, like ants, little bugs, we share a common ancestry to a certain point, a very, very long time ago. By most mathematical standards I've seen, or equations, any alien life that's mastered interstellar travel probably has a longer evolutionary track than we've been on. The point is, if we build a road, the ants have no idea what that road is. Their brains can't even comprehend the concept of what asphalt is. It's alien and foreign. Their brains don't see it. They don't even see it existing, okay? When we build a highway, the ants live in their little ant, hill or hole or whatever, in their little hive, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it's called. Colony. Ant colony. There you go. And they have no idea the highway's there. This is a really interesting idea I heard. So what that means is there could be alien superhighways right above us in outer space that we couldn't comprehend. So think about Marvel. In the Marvel movies, when they use jump points, there's a weird honeycomb thing that opens up and they jump through it and it transports them basically somewhere else. Something like that could exist that we can't see or can't detect. We won't even know about it, just like ants not seeing a car or a highway. But let's scale this up. Let's say your dog. Your dog understands the general concept of a car. Dogs are mammals, and humans and dogs share a much later common ancestor than ants do. But you could never explain to the dog the basic principles required to comprehend what a highway is. In this instance, the dog can see the highway. The dog knows the cars are dangerous. The dog knows the highway is there, and the dog can understand the concept of things being built. If we were to scale up how I imagine a dog would interpret cars and everything, would be like you seeing a ship teleport and just appear in front of you. To the aliens who are on a level above us, they can understand the basic concept of how the ship travels around. But for us, it just looks like magic, and no matter how much the aliens would try to explain it, we would never get it. Never. You cannot explain to a dog internal combustion engines. I'm sorry, you just can't do it. And we actually can communicate somewhat effectively with dogs. We train them, we teach them words, and they can follow, and we can team up and do projects together. We can hunt together. Sorry though, the human mind, even though it is very closely related to other mammals, is just too far beyond a dog. Now imagine what an alien would do. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up. Let's read the story now that I've kind of talked about something else. They say, in official statements, the U.S. Navy has for the first time officially stated that 3 UFO videos made public by former Blink-182 singer Tom DeLonge's UFO research organization are footage of real unknown objects violating American airspace. Even scarier, what if they're like Russian or Chinese? Navy spokesperson Joseph Gradisher told Motherboard that the Navy considers the phenomenon depicted in those 3 videos as unidentified. Previously, the Navy never addressed the content of the videos. The terminology here is important. The UFO community is increasingly using the terminology unidentified aerial phenomena to discuss unknown objects in the sky. John Greenwald, author and curator of The Black Vault, the largest civilian archive of declassified government documents, originally reported the news. Greenwald requested information in August from the Navy regarding the content of the 3 popular videos purporting to show anomalous aerial objects. In 2017 and 2018, 3 videos taken by Navy pilots from the aircraft made national news. They go on to talk about also, it's stories I've covered before, so we'll move on. Quote, I very much expected that when the U.S. military addressed the videos, they would coincide with language we see in official documents that have now been released, and they would have labeled them as drones or balloons, Greenwald told Motherboard. However, they did not. They went on the record stating the phenomena depicted in these videos is unidentified. That really made me surprised, intrigued, excited, and motivated to push harder for the truth. Roger Glassel, a writer for the Swedish magazine UFO Aktuellt, and an expert who specializes in Freedom of Information Act requests, also said it was notable that the Navy is using this new terminology. That the Navy is using the term unidentified aerial phenomena shows that they have broadened what is expected to be reported by U.S. fighter pilots to investigate anything unknown in their airspace that in the past has been contacted with a stigma, Glassel told Motherboard. If these investigations are due to an interest in finding the cause of the USO phenomenon in a UFOlogy sense, or due to reducing flight hazards or to counter unidentified intrusions by known adversaries and readiness for technological surprise, remains to be seen. Okay, that was a very complicated way of saying we don't know what they are or what they're doing. But so they mentioned that earlier this year, I covered the story, the Navy changed their policy to now actually address these. And I think it's important because when people operate under the assumption they're aliens, you're jumping the gun so far. It could literally be a Russian vessel. And don't you think we should know if the Russians have a new weapon? But what I wanted to bring up more importantly, I guess I don't have it. There's I'll show just a little screenshots here from the videos. You can see these strange objects in this video. The object begins to rotate. And I got to say, check out the videos. It's really amazing. They're old videos, so I don't need to play. I'm not going to play them. But it's interesting because you actually see whatever it is start rotating. They go on to say, man, I don't want to just keep digging through here, but they go on to say that, actually, let me just read this right here. These unidentified objects may have been tracked by one, likely all, of these highly sophisticated nearby military facilities. And that's the point I wanted to get to. But when asked about the 2015 incidents, Ron Flanders, a Navy spokesperson, said, we have checked the records, and despite the public reporting and video of the incident, no records exist at FACSFAC, Fleet Area Control and Surveillance Facility, for the events in question. So here's what I find interesting. They talk about these extremely secretive experimental facilities and then ask those experimental facilities if the strange vehicles floating above were recorded by them. What do you think the answer is going to be? I have no idea what you're talking about, because to me, if you have, so look, they say, accounts of the Navy's 2014 and 2015 UFO events have been a little more ambiguous. Based on limited eyewitness reports, it's speculated that the 2 videos from 2015, known as Gimbal and Go Fast, were captured while the Roosevelt Carrier Group was operating in the Jacksonville Training Complex off the Florida-Georgia coast. In this location, Carrier Strike Group 12 would have been in the purview of the Naval Nuclear Submarine Base Kings Bay, roughly 300 miles south of the flotilla, in the Navy's Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center. According to the Navy, Making use of the multitude of in-air and deep-water tracking systems, AWTEC is capable of monitoring and controlling upwards of 500 nautical miles and a height of 70,000 feet around the facility. So let me just say this. If you see strange vehicles and they're within the purview of a test facility with advanced technology, gee, I wonder what they would say, and I wonder what these devices could be. Now, I'm not going to say they are for sure anything one way or the other. They say the only conclusion we can draw is that if the most advanced and powerful military on the planet bumps into objects in its own airspace that it cannot identify, everyone should be a little worried. Or perhaps they can, and it's just compartmentalized. And the research facilities where these ships are near are products of that. Hey, man, it'd be really cool if we actually had, like, inertial dampeners and warp drive and all that fun stuff, and maybe we do. But for now, until we display these weapons in the actual theater of war, you probably will never hear about it. The Manhattan Project was kept a secret. And then there were like 300,000 people working on that. No one knew for sure what they were doing. Let's say World War III really breaks out. I'd have to guess that the somewhat archaic nuclear bombs we have, like MIRVs, multiple independently targeted reentry vehicles that can carry like 12 warheads, a bit outdated. I don't believe that the military has been sitting around doing nothing. And I believe if a war truly broke out, you would see the emergence of power and weapons you never thought possible. When the bombs were dropped in World War II, it shocked the world. What do you think would happen if a war broke out now? It's not going to be nuclear war. It's going to be something totally different. So anyway, there you go. I thought this story was really fascinating, but I'm also want to mention, I've been talking about doing a mysteries and unknowns podcast. We've got the podcasting space getting set up, and we're almost good to go on pulling the trigger on a new show. It'll be a new channel, a new podcast. It's going to be managed probably by somebody else. And the primary host won't be me, but I will be a frequent guest on the show, if not on every episode. So expect to hear from me and a couple other people as we talk about interesting, strange phenomena around the world. This will be a separate show because what I do here is definitively sourced, right? We have, green check mark sourcing, third-party verified outlets, and I comment on what is presumed to be true. This new show will be a new channel where we just kind of speculate and have a good time and talk about the mysteries of the unknown. I'll leave it there, though. Stick around. Next segment will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Podcast every day at 6:30 p.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time.